Okay, so peace and love to everybody out there. Man, I shouldn't have said okay. That made it sound weird. Anyway, let's have a quick conversation about the Amber Geiger slash Botham Jean tragedy. For those that don't know, well, this is not going to be a quick conversation, but hopefully the point of this video is to kind of shed some light on some parts of the case that people might not know about, get you to think a little bit outside the box. It's not to get you to be mad at any sex or any race or anybody or anything like that. It's just to kind of get you to think a little bit outside the box and see things that you might not be seeing clearly, I think. Yeah, so let's look at it, right? This happened last year, 2018. Amber Geiger is a woman, police officer, who walked into an apartment and shot and killed a man that was inside the apartment. The man's name is Botham Jean. He was eating a bowl of ice cream, watching TV when this happened. Amber Geiger was recently sentenced to 10 years in jail. So now let's look at it. Now let me give you a lot more information than what I just gave you. Like I said, Amber Geiger is a police officer. The apartment that she walked into, she thought it was her apartment. So the story goes, she lives on the third floor. He lives on the fourth floor. She parks her car on the fourth floor, and she walked towards the apartment that she thought was hers because they both live directly above or below each other. So that part of the story actually makes sense. The door was left ajar, and she saw the silhouette of a man inside. She thought it was an intruder. In court, she claims that she called out the commands, show me your hands, show me your hands. And he did not comply. And then she claimed that he was approaching her. She felt like her life was in danger, and she shot and killed him. So let's slow down a little bit, right? One, you're a police officer, which means you should be more aware of your surroundings than the average person, because police officers do have dangerous encounters, or they have dangerous situations that they get themselves into, right? The only kind of time where I believe that you should not be sure if a door belongs to you or not is if, one, you're drunk or you're intoxicated, or you're just not yourself, and you're just totally not yourself, or if you're in a hotel room, because hotel rooms, all the doors kind of look alike, and then you can mistakenly get off the wrong elevator and so on. In court, the prosecutor was also able to point out the fact that Botham Jean, the victim, has a red carpet on the floor, which she doesn't have outside his door, right? So it's kind of like, how are you a police officer and you miss all of these signs? Her text message history was also able to prove that she was carrying on a conversation around those times before and even after she murdered the guy. Even after she murdered the guy, she sent out a text message saying, let's get drunk, to a man, right? Let's get drunk, after she murdered the man. So it's not really looking good for her, to be honest, right? Now, Botham Jean, black man, he was in a choir, he was a church guy, a God-fearing man, and so on. In court, his family was there, obviously. His younger brother, did I mention that she was sentenced to only 10 years in jail? I don't know if I've said that already, but she was sentenced to 10 years in jail. If you know anything about American justice system, then you would know that 10 years in jail, you will pretty much be out of there in 5 years, unless if you get in there and do anything crazy. She's eligible for parole in 5 years. She's gonna be out in 5 years, okay? And especially because, let's be honest, it's a white woman. If this was, everybody knows, if this story was reversed, if it was a black cop that shot a white kid or a white man or a white woman, you just know this story will be different, right? So she's sentenced to 10 years. Now, let's slow down a little bit. The younger brother of the victim is in court crying, saying he loves her as a person. He doesn't wish anything bad for her. He doesn't even want her to go to jail. He just wants her to give her life to Christ. And then he asks to give her a hug, saying please twice, and then the judge approves of the hug. The judge lets them hug it out. The judge is black. A good number of the jury is black. There was also a police officer or a bailiff that was in court that was also black. I'll tell you why I mentioned her. So the victim's younger brother tells her he forgives her, he loves her, and so on, wants to give her a hug. The other officer in court black woman was consoling her by stroking her hair. Now, this is all happening to the person that committed the crime. And after she was sentenced, the judge herself gives her a Bible and gives her a hug. So here's the thing with religion sometimes. Religion sometimes, yes, I know. Now I got a lot of people's attention, right? For the people that at least want to have the conversation, because I know some people aren't even ready for the conversation. But the truth is, whether you want to admit it to yourself or not, that's your own problem. Religion sometimes stops some people from using common sense. Absolute fact. Stops some people from using common sense. Notice I said some people, not all. It stops them from using common sense. So here's the thing. I understand forgiveness. I understand closure. I understand release. I understand letting go. All of those things that I just mentioned comes from within anyway. Okay? Nobody forces you to forgive them. Nobody can make you forgive them. All of that has to come from within. So what is the point of the younger brother sitting in court crying, talking about he forgives her, he loves her, and so on, he doesn't want her to go to jail? What is the point of that? If you forgive her and so on, you could have done that inside your own bathroom, inside your bedroom or whatever. That didn't need to be brought up in court. And I'll tell you why I think there's something a little bit sketchy about that. The father of the victim later on said that he also, his faith and his religion and so on, he likes her as a person, and he said I hope to be your friend one day. Huh? Right? He said to Amber Geiger, I hope to be your friend one day. So it's like, at some point, are we gonna wake up a little bit? How are you hoping to be the friend of the person that shot and killed your son, who was doing nothing wrong in his apartment? Like I said, I understand forgiveness and letting go, but we have to kind of wake up a little bit. And the truth is, this whole case kind of makes black people look weak. This is not to put race in the conversation at all, but if you know it yourself that if it was a white woman or a white man that was inside that room and was killed by a police officer, you know he's going to get more than 10 years or more than 5 years or so. You know that this whole conversation will be different. So if you know that, then you know that race is already involved. If people can actually read history for some time, actually spend some time reading history, you would know that the people that you've been so forgiven towards have never been forgiven towards you. Sometimes we're so quick to condemn ourselves that other races, we're so easy. We approve them. We forgive them faster than we'll forgive people that actually look like us. So the reason why I say all of this is because after they sentenced her to 10 years, 2 members of the jury, a black woman, a white man, said that they could not see themselves giving her 28 years. By the way, the prosecuting team did an awesome job because they actually were able to convict her of murder. Not manslaughter, not any kind of self-defense, nothing like that. Convict her of murder. If you're convicted of murder, you're looking at least 15 years. Okay, people were doing 5 years for robbery. So how is she getting 5 years in jail? I'm going to say 5 years in jail because she's going to be out in 5 years. People are getting 5 years for having too much weed in their pocket. For robbery. For knocking somebody out. Smaller things people are getting 5 years for. So how are you shooting somebody and you're getting only 5 years? And that doesn't, it doesn't, some people are still looking at it like, all right, whatever, another day, let's move on. So the 2 members of the jury said that they could not see themselves giving her 28 years because, one, they feel like if the victim was alive, he wouldn't want her to get 28 years, which doesn't really make any sense to me, right? 2, they said that because the family of the victim was so forgiving and embracing and willing to let things go, that, then it makes sense for them to give her 10 years. See what I mean? So people have to look at this, right? Things that happen in the media is either going to teach somebody something or show somebody something. The reason why, let's look at a form of discipline, right? The reason why sometimes, for the parents that discipline their kids, right? Most parents do. The reason why you discipline one child in front of the other child is so the other child knows not to do it, right? So if you have this kind of situation whereby police officers are killing people and they're getting away with it, what message does that send to all the other officers? Pretty much says, okay, if you do it, you can get away with it too. So in this situation where it's like, okay, you have a police officer who kills a man. This is not even while she's on duty. This was not any kind of self-defense. She pretty much kills the man, and she pretty much gets 5 years in jail. What message does that send to the rest of the world? Also, the family, who's supposed to be mourning and so on and so forth, they're able to let it go easily. They're loving, they're forgiving, they want to hug her and so on. So it's kind of like, it's a lose-lose situation for us, and it's kind of like a win-win situation for them. Because if you actually research some officers that are involved in these kind of shootings, a lot of times they get some kind of, they get like a GoFundMe created after them, or people put money together for them in the hundreds of thousands. So some of them actually come out after the case richer than they were before. This is actual facts. You can look it up. You know, some of them get interviews from like ABC, NBC, whatever, different channels in which they pay them for the interviews. So these people will kill somebody and get away with it. But if the tables is kind of reversed a little bit, like if they actually get punished for it, then it'll send a message to the rest of the officers like, okay, if you do this, you're probably going to lose your job. You're probably going to go to jail for it. You know, so it's just to get people to kind of open your eyes a little bit. Now, let's fast forward a little bit. One of the key eyewitnesses said that he lives across the apartment from Botham Jean. He usually hears him singing, you know, choir or gospel music, and Drake sometimes. So he's able to hear what goes on in his apartment. He said that he never heard her say, you know, stop, show me your hands, and so on. So she lied about that. Maybe she did. Maybe she was just whispering it. Who knows? The precinct is also about two blocks away, which means she could have called for backup. She had multiple options. So all of these things, I feel like a lot of people are missing or not even looking at. The jury also said that, you know, she was remorseful. She was crying. You know, this situation is different from the other officers that have shot other people. You know, all of these things is kind of like, yes, she was looking at 28 years in jail. Anybody that's looking at 28 years in jail can start crying, can start acting, can start being remorseful. You know, it doesn't mean that at that point in time they didn't, you know, they still made the decision that got them there in the first place, and they should be punished for it. So the eyewitness that gave that testimony days later after the sentencing was shot and killed. So now the story gets worse, right? You've seen TV shows, you've seen movies, you've seen mob movies, cartels. You watch Power probably, because Power is on TV right now. Anytime a key witness is murdered, before or after the case, very, very good chance is because somebody didn't want him to talk, or he's being punished for talking. This man was shot twice, maybe at least twice, once in the chest and one in the mouth. But the police department is trying to say that this was a drug deal gone bad, right? So this whole video just took a whole turn. Because immediately when I heard about it, I'm like, okay, so he was definitely punished for I mean, is that even a punishment? Like, the man is dead. It's actually very sad. You know, so here you have a black man who's like, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to testify. He testifies. She still gets 5 years in jail. While the family is busy forgiving, hugging, and loving on this woman that shot their own sibling or whatever. He testified. Days later, he gets killed. So while you're busy forgiving and loving, people are plotting to kill this man. And it's pretty much because of her. There's no way you're going to get people to believe, or me to believe, that this was because of a drug deal gone bad. Now, before somebody can be a key witness, trust me, they've already done a background check on the person. They've probably been scoping him out, making sure he's making the right moves. So you can't tell me days after she gets convicted, this man is doing a drug deal with 3 men from another state. It just makes absolutely no sense. And anybody who actually believes that story, you honestly, you're kind of clueless on a lot of things in life. If you actually believe that this man that is able to testify in jail, you mean to tell me somebody that's selling drugs will actually sit there in court and testify, and it doesn't even benefit them anyhow? Like, it doesn't even make any sense. But some people are actually believing it. And it's sad because in this situation, black folks, we actually kind of failed ourselves in that. And here's why. The judge is black. A good number of the people part of the jury system is black. The victim is black. The person that testified is black. And now the people that killed him are black. People that they're saying killed him are black. You know, so it's like we're catching L's right to left. It's like a lose-lose situation regardless of how you look at it. Malcolm X said that don't act like they won't use one of us to kill one of us just to say that it was us killing each other, or it was one of us. Something along those lines that he said. And it makes perfect sense. And it's a very, 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 very sad story. So it's like I said, this video is not to get anybody riled up to start some kind of fight or any kind of war or anything like that. It's just to get you to think outside the box a little bit. You know, we have to start doing better as a people. You know, we have to start doing better, loving each other, supporting each other a little bit more. And, you know, there's still more details about this case coming out, but based on everything that's out now, it's like a lose-lose situation. And now supposedly the family is trying to sue Dallas Police Department for the kind of training that they give Amber, right? I mean, you're trying to sue, but then you're also in court. The father and the son is saying that they forgive her, they love her, and so on. So what are you really suing for? You know, you can't be so forgiving, in my opinion, saying, you know, you've let things go and so forth, but then you're suing. So if you really let things go, then why not just let the court case go? You know, I mean, that's just my opinion. But hey, maybe there's still parts of the case that's going to come out. You never know. But other than that, rest in peace to Botham Jean. Obviously, I don't know the man, but, you know, this is a very sad story. Y'all take it easy and be safe out there. Peace.